it's very likely you'll get denied an immigration if you try to enter that country.
Or not even be able to leave your country.
This is Worldschooling Q&A. I'm Astrid, creator of The Wandering Daughter. As a traveling family, we've spent 4 years traveling full-time to over 18 countries and 6 continents. Wherever we go, we try to learn as much as we can about the countries and cultures we visit. While we didn't coin the term, we like to call this worldschooling, using the world as our classroom. Each week, my husband Clint and I will answer one question about worldschooling and share our experiences of traveling the world with our kids. Ready to get started? Great! Let's dive in.
All right, this week's question is, how do we handle travel documentation, visas, and other requirements when worldschooling?
This is a great question because I think there are actually a lot of things, a lot of documentation sometimes you don't think of when traveling. And sometimes maybe we can also talk about what happens when you're already traveling and you have to take care of some of the stuff. So why don't we just start with a kind of a list of some things, I think.
Yeah, there's I wrote about this on the website. There's an article that I have on there called Things to Consider for Around the World Travel. And I out some of the things, like 25 things actually, to consider when we're planning for around the world travel. But I think there's some main ones that we can talk about here in this episode. The first one being passports.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious to everyone, right? That you need a passport to internationally. But there's some specific things I think you need to keep in mind with a passport.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pay attention to the expiration dates on passports. A lot of countries will not let you enter if you have less than 6 months left on that passport. It's going to expire in less than 6 months. Even if you're only staying there for a few days, they really want to make sure that you're not going to be stranded in their country.
And that can be the worst feeling in the world, like coming up to a trip that's coming up that you've been, and all of a sudden you realize your passport's going to expire 3 months after the trip starts. It's very likely you'll get denied an immigration if you try to enter that country.
Or even be able to leave your country. Yeah.
I think additionally with passports, there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention. One is make sure there's enough pages for stamps.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you've been traveling a bunch and your passport is almost filled up, you actually have to get a new passport or get some additional pages added to it because they can stop you technically from entering a country if you don't have enough pages. Yeah. And the last one is just make sure you keep photos of your passport. There's lots of times where people will ask for your passport to hold a hotel or something. And often in case you give them a photo instead. Yeah. So you hold on to it. Also, just in case, if you do lose your passport, having a photo of it will save you immense stress and energy when you have to go to the embassy to try to get a new passport.
Yeah. Yeah. On the topic of visas, I think there's certain things, just in general, if you're traveling, if you're going to go somewhere, check the visa requirements for that country, because you don't want to be you bought your ticket and then you show up at the airport and they're like, well, you don't have the right visa to stay here.
Yeah.
That's a thousands of dollars mistake, I think.
Well, thousands of dollars. Yeah. And sometimes there's ways you can get around it, like a visa on arrival that can be more expensive, or there's ways to do it. Sometimes you can't do anything except go home.
Yeah.
And that's horrible.
So definitely do that research ahead of time and see what are the requirements for the visas.
I think along with visas, just also know that sometimes there's also a fee when you do leave a country. It's not quite visa related, but I think it's kind of related to that. Mm-hmm. Just know that some places you leave, there will either be a tourism fee added when you get to that country or an exit fee that you'll have to pay when you leave.
And in terms of additional requirements for entering, some countries will require vaccination requirements. I know this is a big thing, when we had the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of countries were requiring people to have COVID vaccines, and you need to be able to show proof of that. But For example, if you're traveling through many parts of Africa, you have to have a yellow fever vaccination and you need to be able to show proof of that. Or I think that was the main one, right? The yellow fever.
Fever, I think, is the big one. There's a one, and they've existed before COVID too. I
Yeah.
mean, these vaccination requirements have existed for a long time, and we recognize this is a hot topic, and we get our vaccinations, and when we go to the countries and stuff, if it's something that's not comfortable for your family, please consider not visiting some of these countries.
Yeah.
And the vaccinations are not just for you; they're to help protect the local populations as well.
Yeah. What about if you were going to be homeschooling kids while you're traveling?
Yeah, that's a question. There are places around the world where homeschooling is just flat out illegal. Foreigners get some leeway. The longer you stay, and we talk a lot about slow travel, the longer you and the less foreigner you look, there'll be a certain point where you may be required to, or you may be questioned, or you may just like raise some eyebrows, like why is not in school while all the other kids are in school?
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a small town and people see you on a regular basis and your kids are never in school, that can raise pretty big popular destinations like Bali, for example, is legal to homeschool
Indonesia. Yeah.
in general. I used Bali just because that's a popular destination within Indonesia, but yeah, it's pretty common. So please know your homeschooling regulations wherever you're going, and then make adjustments based off of how long you're going to be staying there.
Yeah.
What about driving? What are some driving considerations?
Well, if you're planning on driving, most places will require an international driver license or international driver permit, like an IDP.
Mhm.
And basically, what it is a document that translates your current license. So you have to have a driver's license to be able to do this, but it will translate your license into um, like the local many of the major languages. So we've used this for driving like in France and in Italy, in Spain, Indonesia, places where Mexico sometimes, I mean, for US citizens, I think we're okay because they
Yeah.
will accept our driver's
Yeah,
license.
Mexico doesn't require one.
But we'll
Just
still
for
get
US
it
citizens.
anyway. But yeah, an IDP is helpful to have if you do plan on driving while you're traveling. Just remember to get it before you travel.
Yeah, and they're really easy. Go into a local AAA office here in the United States, and it's pretty quick. It's not that expensive. It's good for a year from when you get it, and you can future date it to start up to 6 months in advance. So really easy to have. Even if you are pretty sure the country doesn't need it, the last thing you want to do is stand in a rental car line. We saw this in Italy, actually. There was a waiting there to rent their car. They waited in line for over an hour. They got up to the rental desk and they said, need an IDP. And they were like, we don't have one. And then they said, sorry, we can't rent to you.
Yeah.
So don't do that. That can ruin a vacation.
Yeah, that's something you need to have before you leave.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things to have before you leave, what is something, what about insurance?
Yeah, travel insurance is an interesting topic. Some people don't do any travel insurance, and some go way over the top with travel insurance. We're kind of in the middle. We do get some travel insurance to cover catastrophic medical things.
Yep.
Beyond that, I don't know. Maybe you can go more detail because you've done most of the research when we buy the travel insurance.
Yeah, the company I like to use is Safety Wing. They have medical insurance that's specific for digital nomads, which is something that I like because like you can choose like the number of weeks that you're going to be traveling, and it can be like, for an extended period of time. And then it tends to be a little bit more affordable for families than other travel insurance or medical insurance that we've researched.
What about just general miscellaneous things that I think maybe people don't think about having with them when they travel?
Yeah, we always try and have a photocopy or photo of our kids' birth certificates. I don't know if we do ours. We probably should have that.
Probably should. We have a copy of our passports, a photo of our passports, which I think helps. But
and I think the birth certificates are important, especially actually, I've heard about this. We tend to travel together anyway, so it's not really an issue. But if you're traveling, you know, as a solo parent and you're bringing your kids along, you want to be able to prove that you are their parent. Or if you have like a different last name, for instance, you want to be able to prove that these are yours. So having a photo of the person with, you know, your name and the kid's name, that shows that you are indeed their parent.
Yeah. One additional one, it's not really a document you have to keep with you all the time, or a copy of it. But one thing we did before we start traveling, we highly recommended this thing. You want to just get your affairs in order and get a will. We have to acknowledge that things can happen when you travel. And I think the last thing your family at home wants to deal with is an unexpected passing, and then they have to figure out all the pieces. Having said that, also making sure someone of your family knows where you are in the world, so that there is some knowledge of that.
Yeah, send them a copy of your itinerary. You know, as world schoolers, sometimes if you're traveling long term, you may not know where you're going to be in 2 or 3 months. But as soon as you know where your next destination is, like just give somebody a heads up, someone at home a heads up, so that they know, like if you don't check in with them, then you should start to look into that.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mentioned that I have an article on my website, but I also have an ebook called Hey Kids, Let's Go Travel. And I cover a lot of these topics of, like, you know, the logistics of getting ready for a gap year or for world schooling and things to consider. So I encourage you to check out the ebook too, to get you like thinking about those types of things.
Good.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Worldschooling Q&A with Astrid and Clint. Be sure to check out the show notes for any links we mentioned in the episode, and visit my website, thewanderingdaughter.com, to dive deeper into world schooling and family travel.
If you like what you hear, please consider supporting The Wandering Daughter on Patreon. It really helps us out and keeps the show going. You'll also get exclusive perks like episode transcripts, additional resources, access to office hours with us, and more. You can find us on Spotify or the podcast app of your choice. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can tap the bell icon to get notified when new episodes come out. And if you like this episode, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps new people find our show.
If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap the bell icon to get notified of new episodes. You can follow me on Instagram @WanderDaughter, or follow The Wandering Daughter on Facebook. Links to these are also in the show notes. If you have any world schooling questions you'd like us to answer for future episodes, feel free to throw them in the comments or send us a message at thewanderingdaughter.com/podcast. Until next time, happy travels!
Bye!